Welcome to the Quantum Collective.
Okay, so I'm gonna walk through a little bit of math today because I got kind of caught up in an argument. Well, not a real argument, but um, a thing on the most recent CS Brews video, and I wouldn't normally do a whole bunch of stuff like this, and I'm not gonna talk about about anything about them specifically. I'm just going to go through some of the math about how step feeding works so that you can hopefully understand things a little bit better. So I'm actually, you can probably see the recipe builder here. I'm actually going to I'm going to zero out all of these 0.025 um, things here. And I am going to use the numbers from their video, but I'm not going to talk about any of the additional stuff that I was mentioned in the since deleted comment. So you have 0.375 gallons of water, which is it was like 40 ounces or something like that, and a half a pound of honey. So I now have total volume with the honey and um, the honey and the water is 0.417 gallons. Okay, and now that fermented out to 1.004. Okay, so I am at 1042. I'm at 4.97% ABV. And I'm going to put this stuff over here in the blending calculator too to show how the ABV actually goes down over time. So I've got 4.97% ABV, and my volume is 0.417. Okay, and now I go in and add a half a pound, or no, a quarter of a pound of honey. Okay, and that tells me that my volume is now up to 0.439 gallons, and that my new potential, if I were to go back down to 1.004 again, is 7.36%. But let's see what our current ABV is before any of this honey ferments. So I've got that 0.0212 number here, and I put it into the blending calculator. And now, oh, sorry, I'm missing a decimal point here. Now you can see my total volume is 0.4382, and if you look over here, it's 0.439. So there may be a tiny, tiny bit of a rounding error there, but not really. And you see that it went from 4.97 to 4.7, so like 0.2% down, which doesn't make a whole lot of difference right now, but it does in the overall calculation. So now, the second time it went all the way down to 0.992, I believe. Okay, so I'm at 8.92% now. And my new volume to put in here is 0.439. 0.439. And now if I add another 0.25 pounds of honey, my new potential is 11.11. But my actual ABV before any of this honey right here ferments is 8.5%. All right, so I'm at 8.5%, and now I add in. There's one other thing I wanted to show. So, um, when you add, let me take this out real quick. Back on the first one, when you add the honey in, and it was at 1.004. If I click the secondary addition here, it's going to go ahead and tell me what the gravity is going to be back sweetened before it starts fermenting again. So this 1024, and that matches up exactly with what happened in the video. And then once it all ferments out, it went down to 0.992. I've got to make sure I have that decimal point in there. And then it was also 0.25. And now, when they back sweetened from 0.992, it went up to 1012, which again is exactly what they had in the video. And this is just this uses another blending calculator. It's exactly the same as this one. I just don't want to go through and do the ABV and then do the blending when I've already got the tool built in here to show you exactly what's going to happen. So now my volume is 0.46, 0.46, and my ABV, it went to 1, to straight up 1 this time. So my new ABV is 10, we'll just call it an even 10 because that 0.07% doesn't make any difference at all. And now you see I'm at 9.55% at the end here. And then they added in 0.25 more pounds of honey. And you can see if that had gone completely dry, then it would have been 12.9%. But it didn't actually re-ferment at all. It went up to 1018 and stopped there. And I'm not going to speculate on here as to why that happened. But regardless, that makes the final ABV somewhere around 9.5%. It says 9.3 here. It says 9.55 here. That's just slight differences in rounding errors from the volumes there. But either way, we're looking at just below 10% and 1018, which is pretty much exactly that. 1018 is the exact number that they came up with. And all of this goes to show that step feeding is the exact same as if you put it all in primary. The difference you have to account for is how much volume are you adding at each step. So you can see at every single step here, we are adding 0.212 gallons of liquid. And you wouldn't think that that would make a huge difference in your like ABV or volume, but that happens 3 separate times. So if I, and you can't see my calculators, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do it here. So 0.0212 times 3, you're adding almost, you're adding 0.0636 gallons total with these 3 additions of honey, which doesn't sound like a lot, but let's do this here and see. So my original water volume 0.375. Uh, let's put that down to the difference that. Let's subtract the amount of honey that adds. So assume that my total volume is staying the same. So that'd be 0.3114 instead. And now it's telling me that I'm at 10.6%. So it it jumped up almost 1.5% from this calculation because it was from 9.3 to 9.6. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but that makes up for the entire difference that they were finding when they were trying to go through and um, just add the points up. You can't just add the points that it drops together and get the right alcohol content. That's just not how it works. So I hope this was informative to people. I'm gonna again apologize for the background of this. I have this new streaming setup set up for my new YouTube channel. Uh, but I just wanted to walk through this math because I thought it might be helpful to people. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If I don't see the comments, you can just tag me on Discord. That's usually the easiest way to get in touch with me. So I appreciate you watching, and see you next time.